Right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to do roll call. Mr. Porter? Here. Mr. Up?
Here.
Mr. Meyerholtz? Here. Ms. Susser?
Yes.
Ms. Patel?
Here.
Ms. Kotowski?
Here.
All right. Everybody had a chance to go over the agenda. We need to make way for anything else.
Just discuss the board liaisons at some point.
That miscellaneous business.
I want to throw out just real quick something about the Otsego Service Day. That's all.
All right. Now, see what service day.
Yes.
We'll get that on them. Everybody had a chance to look at the meetings from the last meeting. We just need a motion to mark as read.
Sounds good.
Never first and second.
Second.
We say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Cool. All right, old business. We're going to have the final reading for ordinance 2025-5 is this is the purchase of, or the ordinance authorizing the executive certain agreements for the United States Army armaments for cemetery display. This is that M5 tank anti-gun thing at the cemetery. Any other discussions on that?
No.
We just need a motion to approve. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Ms. Rupp?
Yes.
Mr. Miles?
Yes.
Mr. Sue?
Yep.
Mrs. Patel?
Yes.
Mrs. Kukowski?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried on that one. The final reading of 2024. I think it's that one.
There it is.
One is 2025-4, accepting the UAN equipment donation. This is a resolution to approve acceptance of the UAN equipment. Anybody have any discussion on that? If not, we just need a motion.
So moved.
First and a second. Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Ms. Rupp?
Yes.
Mr. Meyerholt?
Yes.
Ms. Susser?
Yes.
Mrs. Patel?
Yes.
Ms. Kukowski?
Yes.
Okay, that's going to include that. Okay, for the mayor portion of this thing, I just appreciate everybody having the patience to working with me. That's all I got. Anybody have anything for me? Okay. We're gonna go to the fiscal officer.
The USDA Rural Business Development Grant was submitted Friday. And the project for the Nature Works, the basketball court, is scheduled to begin on or around June 2nd, weather permitting. That's all I got.
Okay. Anybody have anything for her? Okay, we're gonna go to administrative maintenance report. Harold.
I don't have a lot of anything.
That's good. Anybody have anything for Harold?
I'm sorry.
Ken, zoning.
There's been one permit issued since the report. And on February 23rd, I received a complaint from a citizen about junk in the yard at 0. On the 24th, I sent an email to Paul Scaff regarding nuisance property. Which is the property on 0 Oak Street. Signed a fence permit 13,345 Main Street. Received a call from a potential home buyer on Sand Ridge asking about the possibility of building a garage to that property. And I received a phone call from the local sales rep at Stormore Accessory Buildings letting me know that she is not the contractor for placement structures and does not give buyers quotations for their purchases. Whatever. February 25th, I received a call from the current owner of 2 lots on the south side of Brown Lane at the east end of the pavement regarding the possibility of building a residence on the 2 lots. I advised her that it'd be, she combined the 2 lots into one, it would be a buildable lot. However, Brown Lane right-of-way stops at the end of the existing pavement. I was unsure how would we be able to respond to pavement utilities without extending lots. That would be villages, whether it's gonna be privately done. Didn't. I just left it. I told them I would bring it to you guys. I assumed that they would need to grant the village right of way for the extension of Brown Lane. But that would only cover 1/2 of the property. Then we'd have to get through the property, the owners on the north side to grant easement to, or right away to get it all the way across. So, yeah, I'll say that. You. Would you like to? I was in the chair. So anyway, we're gonna have.
Maybe for that public-
Right away, we're gonna have to get it from both properties, but at the same time, it's a question of how do we extend the road and utilities
Mhm.
to get this property.
I mean, right now, anything that was currently built back there was like, there's a couple houses that were habitated houses, but the foundation was already done. They assume part of that in the building because there's utilities already there, wasn't there?
The
in those-
utilities are already there only, as far as I know. Brown Lane went as far as Brown Lane right of way was. So there's basically 4 lots at the end that are landlocked lots.
Mhm.
And what they'd like, at least the people on the south side would like to combine those 2 lots, make it one, but they need to extend the utilities and an access point to get to the property.
Wouldn't the extension of the utilities be up to Northwest Water and Sewer at that point?
Probably at the cost of the homeowner.
Right.
And yeah, and I guess that's the cost is, the issue is whose cost is it?
Well, it won't be the villages.
When we looked into Habitat for Humanity out in Water
And
Street, it
there's still
was,
no value to us.
Right.
To, or to you guys to really spend it, but at the same time, it's a property that basically can't be built on without it being extended.
Yeah.
So, correct.
when we looked at for Habitat for Humanity on Water Street, that it was gonna be the homeowner's responsibility for the utility.
So we'd have to get them to, what about the pavement? Could they, let me ask you this, could they possibly just put a driveway off of the end of the existing Brown Street, or would they have to extend Brown Street all the way?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Because, I mean, currently, we absorbed that whole area via the original builder. And we're responsible for all that as of now. But the outlots that are not currently infrastructures, I don't think we are.
I don't think,
I think when
I don't think it was, that part of it was dedicated.
I was gonna say, I think what was dedicated there, I think it spelled out the specific
Right at the
parcels.
outlet line.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, if they took other areas and made them into lots after we did that, that's not on us, I don't think.
Yeah, because the entire outlots meet at what would be the center line of Brown Lane,
at the end of it.
going north and south, right?
Now you said there's 4 lots there and they want to combine 2 parcels on
There's 2
the,
on the south side and there's at least 1, if not 2 on the north side.
and they want to combine parcels?
Only the 2 on the south side to make 1 lot to build a house.
Okay. And the other 2, they're, Not
heard
current.
anything from those property owners.
We'll just have to, let's refer that back to Public Works and make sure that we can do something with that as far as make sure we have all our ducks in a row on that one.
I just told her I'd give her a call back when I found out anything.
Okay.
So.
Hey, Ken,
Yes.
I've been to the Bowling Green Commission and they stated to me that they would not combine lots. They will only separate them. So I don't know if that's even possible.
They don't combine in lots. They do combine out lots.
But if you have 4, then 2 of them would be in, correct?
The current configuration is 2 out lots.
Lots.
There is no in lots in that particular area.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Because it's
No problem.
not dedicated yet.
So on the 26th February, I wrote a letter to the owner of 0 Oak Street. So they should have, I'd imagine, gotten it by now. And I do have the pictures. Stephanie's got them at her computer. November 28th, wrote a letter to send to the resident of Chickens with no previous permit. And I wrote to who I thought was the correct individuals, the Modern Disposal for the running up of Railroad Alley. Apparently that might not be the case. I'm gonna have to find out who it is that's driving the trash trucks down the alley between Walnut and Oak Street and running it up pretty good.
There's a particular residence that has
Trash in his.
trash on the back half of their fence that I witnessed. What looked to be a Modern Disposal, but it could not, it may not have been. It didn't have no number, no writing on it. Almost put his truck sideways, turning into that thing because it sunk, and he gave it a little bit of
Was it a garbage truck?
garbage truck.
Because Brown's Refuse uses like a trailer, so I just want to.
Yeah, and we don't have nothing in our ordinance stating the fact that it has to be done at the road face.
Right.
But these individuals are tearing it up bad.
And
Got
Is it do with
When
the
did you-
dumpster or is it just?
No, this is personal, hand.
And the problem is that the alley is not built up enough. It was never intended for that size trucks to be driving on.
I mean, King Construction is probably about the biggest truck that it can do it. I mean, it's a big truck, but it's mostly hollow and doesn't weigh hardly anything.
What day did you see that? Cause I had Modern come out on Saturday out of nowhere.
This was Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then Gary witnessed him again on Thursday.
Dang.
So,
Maybe, cause Modern
no.
only comes
This was-
this way.
Rumpke has.
Yeah,
Rumpke
Rumpke's
has-
definitely got their logo plastered everywhere, so.
All right. Thank you.
That's it for me.
Anybody, anything else for Ken?
Well, the Stormore representative, I take it that's in reference to something you just don't know what it is.
On Sand Ridge, there was a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting.
Okay, that's right.
Regarding the placement of the accessory building that was apparently bought from Stormore. She just heard about it and she wanted to clarify.
That'll
I
work.
don't tell people where they can and can't put that. Okay, I'll transfer that information so that everybody's on the same page.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm done.
All right. We're good with you, Mr. Deputy. Do you have anything for council? Anybody have anything for the deputy?
Yeah, if you see a garbage truck.
Going down.
No labels.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Okay, committee reports, planning. Let me get into this thing here. Okay. We had 2 variance meetings. One, the individuals are here and they were topic of conversation Stormore, whatever. And there was a little bit of confusion on Ken was not here. Ken had a previous engagement. There was, in attendance was Michael and Mindy Hugaboom, right? And Erica Rupp, Rick Easterwood, and Bob Desmond. I put ripped. I'll fix that.
You can leave it, it's fine.
Okay, they were, here to get a variance for their shed that got placed by Stormore in the back of their property, inside of a fence. Where they would like to have put it was not suitable due to a lowing area.
Yeah.
So they moved it forward, and the variance was asking for 2 feet. And we had a lengthy discussion, and we figured we'd bring it to council because, one, I was uncertain if I was allowed to vote, but I did indicate to the people that were here that what they were asking for, and we got a yes vote from Erica, a yes vote for Mrs. Clanton, and a no vote for Mr. Desmond. Had that not been the case, if I would vote, it still would have been a 2-1, but they're asking for a variance, official variance approval via council for the 2 feet.
Why did Bob say no?
Bob said because Stormore, who was the contractor they bought the shed from, should have known the placement of the shed per our code, because he personally gave them, Ken Taylor personally, I think, gave them our code instructions, and they did not follow it. So it was going to cost them, they had to take the fence down to put the shed back there. And basically it was going to cost them a little bit more to call them to come back out, take the fence back down, move it 2 feet, and put the fence back up. And Stormore does not want to pay for that. So,
So the 2 feet encroachment, they're only within 8 feet of the boundary, or
it's 5 feet to the back,
5 feet,
5 feet to the side lot.
and they want just 2 feet.
Well, they're at 3 feet. They're asking for a variance for the 2 feet.
Yeah.
So
I will say it is all surrounded by a 6-foot
6 foot.
privacy fence. You see this much out of the top when you drive by.
So I'm gonna ask for.
Was there a complaint by
I
another
was just
property?
No
gonna ask that.
dispute.
How was this discovered?
It was discovered on a drive-by by me when I saw a roof of a shed.
Just
As I'm
curious.
driving down Sandridge, then I drove down Eileen and saw it was close to the
I got it.
So
fence line. I wrote him a letter regarding the fact that
they needed a variance, so. I'm gonna ask to see if councils will okay this.
Will it cause any sinking being that close to the fence? You guys are better experts than I.
At this point, there's no responsibility of us. They take all the responsibility of anything that were to arise. They also are understanding that if there wasn't an easement issue that Edison or anybody else needed to go back there, they would deal with that at the time.
How close is the nearest neighbor? Is there a neighbor on that side?
There's a side lot. They back the back of their house butts up to the side lot of somebody else's house, so that's not really,
A bit of, it's not like it encroaches on.
no.
Is your fence right on the property line?
According to the auditor site, it is, but it was done before they bought it, so.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that you just put it.
So we assume that it's either on it or already has the the 2 foot setback for a fence per code. But that was done before
Fence code.
our
Yeah.
code got really enforced, so. Mr. Warner, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Ms. Rupp, Mr. Miles,
Yes.
Ms. Soucer,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Ms. Klukowski?
Yes.
We'll sign that thing and get it to you, okay? It might take a little bit because we're still doing this, but you guys can hang out if you want. Anything
You don't
else?
have to.
You guys have anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
And the other thing from the variance You were not in the visual side of the camera, so. The other variance was for, a variance for, converting a particular residence. It's a duplex located on Oak Street.
Oh, it's the big house.
No, it was the duplex located on Oak Street to make it
The address.
something other than R1.
Does.
And,
Is that big white one?
it's actually, there's an empty lot on the corner of Oak and Silver. It's due east that. There's a small little ranch. Actually,
I think actually on the variant, I think
It's right on the.
different address.
Was wrong.
Yeah,
I wrote down the wrong address.
okay, just so we're all
the
clear.
address came up. This individual is a Crescent Chemical employee and an owner.
Yes.
They want to close this Crescent Chemical office here and make that duplex into an office. Why? They're tired of renting it out and they just want to make it to an office. Per our code, they're not allowed to. Hence the variance. The variance basically would, according to our rules, we would have to rezone it. We would have to rezone it to a L1 or an I1 or I2, which is industrial, light and or heavy. Well, we can do it commercially too.
Yeah. I was gonna
Which is
say.
fine. But by doing that, that opens up a nice balloon of possibilities. Hence, if they were to get rid of it later, we have a commercial property in the middle of a residential that was, we varying it for that. These individuals do not want to rezone it. They just want to use it as that. We were supposed to get a confirmation from Paul Scaff to see if we can do this under a contract type thing. If they were to vacate the property, it would go back to an R1.
He did not respond to that question.
And I know why you didn't.
What our code does allow is office space for doctors, lawyers, whatever, as long as part of the residence is occupied by the practitioner. So you can be a doctor living there and have
A
office
residence.
right there. That's the closest thing we've got. There is nothing else that allows really for office space. And not being a lawyer, if it were, you could, there on the bottom of the variance application, there's conditions for the variance. And in fact, I was the one who suggested it to Rick that maybe what they would do is, as part of the agreement, that when that property sold, they would kill the variance.
Should be a deed restriction.
Right. So,
At the end of the day, if we do not classify this as anything but an R1, it'll stay an R1. But once we classify it anything above R1, it's open game.
Yeah.
So we were waiting to see if our legal counsel would give us the permission to do that. I don't think he's going to.
I think so.
So, and I don't feel comfortable doing it myself to put us in that situation. So
No, you can't.
I get it. And they don't want to. Mind you, the owner and the owners of them do not want to rezone it. They just want to be able to use it. Technically, we cannot make that happen. What's the alternative? They're going to have to put their office somewhere else because they continually say that this residence over here, this office space over here is beyond repair and they would like to get out of it.
So that's another building downtown that we are going to have.
That, believe it or not, that building, yes, that building right there is commercial.
Like, but once they vacate it, now
They will
it's
sell as is. I asked
Yeah,
that
ask them.
question
Sell.
specifically because I have to stare at it all the time.
yeah.
Patty corner.
Right.
You don't even know that it is,
I didn't.
honestly, don't even
You would
know
think it was a
that
residence.
they use it as an office. It looks like a residential.
Funeral home back in the day. So. Yeah, so that's where that's at. We're gonna put this on limbo now until we get a official,
Rewrite to Paul. And
official letter from Paul stating that we had given permission.
I like the deed restriction idea from that standpoint.
And I'm not opposed to anything what the person said.
It didn't seem as if they were in, a major rush either.
They're not. They're in the middle of redoing it anyways. They're still redoing the property to make it currently fixable for either one. They're not like taking a wall down or anything. It's still gonna be what it is. They're just gonna put offices. So,
One thing I'd be wary of is the fact that at some point in time, Crescent could sell. And as long as that was not part of the
Selling,
deal, the
yeah.
sellability of it for that, then, you know, the deed restriction would probably work just fine
Right.
from that standpoint. But
so
I wish that had done what I wanted them to do years ago. And that was to put a modular unit right down there where they're,
well, that still might be an option for them, but that's not our business. So, because if we rezone it, they could put a driveway right there and then they
you
can,
sure could.
and we're kind of screwed. So they are not interested in rezoning it. They just want to use the permission. So we're waiting for Paul Scaff and we'll go back to that. Okay. Safety from 224.
I was reading. All right, in attendance was Rob Meyerholt, myself, Rick Easterwood, Kathy Hyman, Tim Schroeder, Jesse Kendall, Greg Panning, Ashley Patel, Matt Sheeks, Adam Ziegler, and Jamie Schroeder. The main topic of discussion was Jackson Township trustees. The three gentlemen that were there in attendance to start a discussion with us about Weston EMS covering part of their township under contract for services. They're gonna come back to us with what other places say, and we're gonna see if we can work anything out. We discussed the rate schedule being complied by Medi-Cal and where it would be beneficial to raise rates and where to hold rates steady in preparation for new contracts. Medi-Cal also recommended a compliance program sign off for appropriate individuals, and the EMS chief will receive the suggested Medi-Cal document from the clerk to adjust for our program specifically. Kathy will have people sign. We discussed safety training for village employees and we'll do research on which program to use and who is to attend. We did community, and we discussed our goals for 2025 and would like to accomplish writing new EMS contracts. Discussing a village day for a possible safety town, depending on how many interested people. And a possible non-certification CPR course for village residents. Actionable items was EMS needed a new cable and request approval for $1,400. But they didn't have that purchase, or did they get that to you, Steph?
Oh, yeah, I think they're still trying to figure out.
What they need.
Yeah.
Okay, because we didn't have an exact amount. We were ballparking it. Should we wait to approve that until we get the purchase order? That's what I would feel comfortable doing. We could do.
Well, to keep from doing this,
Well, I
if
was
they
gonna
need it,
say, if
we
it's,
can make
if it's under 10,000, Kathy
She can do it
can
anyway.
just do it anyway.
That's the
She
notes.
just has to get with me to get the purchase orders.
Yeah, that's the notes that I put in. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That won't take.
If she thinks it's gonna be over 10,000, then council will have to,
probably
I
not.
don't think we're going to be over that. So we're going to leave that to Kathy.
yeah. I would say, you know, if, whenever they get the quote, to just do it then, or they can highball it and.
I think the indication was that it could be less.
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
And the only thing I had for the Jackson Township, this would be for the 2026 calendar year that they're trying to work on. They're currently under service, so that would revert back to her thing to discuss the actual committee. I mean, to the committee on the federal health agreement. We did extend those all though.
You should give council the rest of the information as to why they're here, though.
Jackson Township?
Yes.
Well, I'll let somebody else do that. Somebody else want to touch base on that?
They're just paying a lot.
Yeah, they're paying $116,000 a year for 24 runs.
2025 or 2024, they had total cost for PMP, which is private ambulance out there, Macomb, different townships over there. They had a total of 22 runs at a cost of $116.
Yeah, like each run was what, 4,900? Close to that.
No, a little over 5,000. It was like 5,400. I believe.
We're talking with North Baltimore to see if they'll cover up the south part of the tracks and we'll cover down the north part of the track to their tracks. But that's why it's in talks. It's all dependent on another entity and whether or not they'll approve it and stuff like that.
So this is a work in progress, but we're going to try to see what we can do for them.
Did they say how many runs that they did last month?
They didn't give us the calls. 'Cause they didn't know.
Our EMS run.
REMS run.
I don't believe they did.
I don't think they did.
We jumped right into that,
I
Jackson.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was most of it. Oh, I do have, if anyone's interested, I do have the map of, you're gonna have to probably,
Yeah,
The map.
we can,
everyone has the map?
I do.
Okay.
we'll leave it up to them and we'll give it to the people that are needing information. So
But basically, what Jamie say? 2 miles.
I think it's 2 miles. If you would by the crow fly and by a radius, our farthest point is 25 Jerry City Road. If you were to swing a pendulum around, it covers all of them except when you get closer to Deschler. And then it's no longer covered. That's why we wanted to split it to north of the tracks.
And that's what Kathy felt comfortable doing. She didn't want to take on all of Jackson. Because of
They
run
explained
times.
that the amount of train traffic they once said was not going to be occupied, their intersections is constantly occupying their intersections. So it's smart and for everybody to split the district up. So it's still in talk. So, okay.
The other thing, I did talk to Greg Panning after the meeting. And I told him, I said, I just want to make you aware of the fact that if you're looking to have an answer by the time you have to make a decision on the levy in May, you better get on North Baltimore ASAP because it's going to take us a couple of council meetings at least to get this thing worked out.
Yeah, because they're in contract
Yeah.
until next year,
Yeah, and but
they have that levy,
they have that levy that they can put on, whether it's
a renewal.
or whatever. I said, you're going to be putting us in a tough position. And he said he would get on it right after he talked to me. So,
Because their levy depends on how they're gonna approach it. So right now they have what, a renewal levy?
not a renewal. I think it was for more.
I think it's going to be more because what they've done, they've
They've exhausted it.
exhausted anything above and they've been dipping into their general fund. They can't keep on doing it.
And they knew that they were going to get a raise coming up for next year.
Right.
So anyway, it's on him at this point in time. I've not talked to him any further. So
Okay, we had a WSIB from 225.
In attendance, Janetti Zamaripa, Luann Hunt, Jared Purcell, Rachel Baird, Dennis Sauter, Brittany Kukowski, Shelley Meyer-Holtz, Jeremy Schroeder, and Jessica Susser. Shelley Meyer-Holtz with Third Generation Sports spoke to wanting to place a bid to make player uniforms for 2025. Shelley was referred to the OTB board, who is taking the bids and quotes for the entire OTB league, which is at Seago Town Ball. So the whole school district. There was an OTB update given. Weston received the most teams out of the district at 7 teams total, and will be scheduling a coaches meeting in March. At Seago Serve Day, ideas were discussed, potentially including concession stand cleaning, park maintenance, field maintenance, and a touch-up paint for the dugouts. Discussion on potential expenses for the upcoming season included portable mound for 14U boys, league lineup software at $72, background check software for coaches, credit card systems, binders at $80, and a letter board for the building at $1,800. Additionally, pricing and purchasing procedures were reviewed for the upcoming year. Opening day events are scheduled for May 17th with multiple food trucks, a 50-50 raffle, vendors, and more. The board approved volunteer appreciation proposal for opening day, which was something council proposed. So they gave us an approval for that. Sponsor letters went out and options for purchasing banners were discussed with Jeremy Schroeder. Brittany asked the board their opinion on the use of council liaisons, and the board stated unanimously that they would like to keep their liaison for questions, clarification, and reporting. The next meeting is scheduled for March 19th at 5:30 p.m. here at the Village Hall. Actionable items, fitting the bleachers with a back railing for safety has been requested prior to the season opening day. And then vote on the addition of a letter board to the back of the concession stand, which would be the north side.
The actionable item for the backrest for the bleachers, that was brought on to us by our PEP.
Yeah, the risk assessment
Risk
by the
assessment.
insurance. Mhm.
And
They've requested it evidently, and they're just waiting for it to be done. Something like
well, that's
that.
what I'm trying to figure out. Are we still buying those or they're taking out of their budget and then Harold's gonna put them in, or were they doing
Yeah,
a
I
quote
think
for?
the last time it was brought up, it just kind of,
Was it in Public Works? It kind of seemed like.
It was.
maybe-
It was in Public Works.
Because it was part of the builds and lands and buildings.
Because they weren't sure what we decided as to like.
I don't think we ever
I think there was, I was gonna say, it just kind of stopped having discussion.
came to a decision that we were going to hold off and wait and see who was actually going to pay for it. Would it be SIB or would it be?
It'll come out of their account.
Well, I got a question. Are they a 501c3 currently?
No, they have an EIN.
Well, that makes them a 501c3.
Not officially all the way though.
There's extra paperwork.
There's paperwork that's filed.
It makes them a business. They
Well,
don't
and
have
that's-
the official.
And that's my question. I don't know that we should legally be involved with that from that standpoint,
But it's
at that point.
our property.
I'm out. They're a 501c3 or they're a business, let's say. We can't be involved with that legally as the village.
Involved with what?
With.
Specifically.
Well, as liaison, as us trying to decide who's going to pay for what from that standpoint. I mean, that's totally independent. That's not any of ours anymore.
Well, what I will say, and it's just coming to me at this moment, is take WSI out of the picture. If a child falls off the back of the.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking overall. I want that fixed. I'm not disputing that. It has to be done
Because
one
I'm
way or another.
talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm talking about the overall involvement of us with them.
I think let's discuss the
bleach.
railing first, then we can talk about the business part.
I think we should pay for the bleachers because like Jess is saying, like any kid can go over there regardless if they're in a baseball game or not.
And it's our insurance that if something was to happen, yeah.
It's our property.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we just have to decide where it's coming from. We
That's
have
exactly what the next
that
question is.
fund, we have that fund that needs spent down so that they can officially be, or we can officially be separated
Well,
from.
are we willing to use the fundage that they have set aside?
No,
Or
I-
do it ourselves? That's what I'm saying. I think it needs to come out of our general fund versus.
Right.
Now, whether it comes out of Park and Rec, because where it comes out of, that's to be determined,
So
but
is that going to admin?
I was gonna say, I think
Might
a
have to go-
quote would work or be helpful first and then
We need to know how
we
much.
can figure out where it comes from.
And then,
I don't know if we'll be able to do it by the opening day is what I'm getting at, because they want it done by the opening day, which is, that's
Just
a process.
for safety.
Yeah, that's,
Weren't they talking about side rails on that too? Not just the back.
yeah, it was the whole kit, according to the thing, but at the end of the day, it's our decision.
I think we can do a quote and we can talk about it next Monday.
And revert back to decision to the next council meeting to. Okay,
Recommendation.
are we gonna pay for porta potties or are they?
Yeah.
We will, I believe.
But also.
We are, all the utilities are, for them are coming out of that fund for this year. We have to discuss it again in administrative process.
But I think porta potties were decided last year, but utilities have to be reviewed.
Okay, we need to vote on the additions of letter board.
That actually has a spot under expenditures. There was more to that request that came in today. So
Okay,
if you want to do it all together,
that's on the approval expenditure. Okay, we'll wait. Let's move to that right now. 'Cause that's already on topic.
We approved quite a bit the last meeting.
that was just for like operating supplies. This is equipment.
I see that, but I thought there was equipment in that the last time.
It was like a printer and stuff, but she had said that they were gonna come back to their next meeting and talk about team equipment and the board and stuff. They were still getting more discussion on that.
So we got a WSIB request for $1,800 for the letter board for the street side of the concession stand, and then $3,500 for ball equipment and portable pitching mound. We just need a motion on the floor to do that or discussion. We have a motion on the floor and a second. Mr. Warner,
Yes.
Ms. Rupp,
Yes.
Mr. Meyerholtz,
Yes,
Ms. Susser, Mrs. Patel,
Yes.
and Ms. Kukowski.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna put this one to bed. This one's approved. Anything else for the WSIB? To bring back to them? Okay.
the only other thing is, do you want to call to cancel the special baseball committee and take that out of effect? Council that put it into effect.
Yeah, I think we
I think
can
we're
move
done.
to move the special committee. We didn't assign it at the beginning of the
No, we did
year.
not sign it at the part of the committees. So,
And I believe what's left can be handled in administrative process. That's what we have Paul coming for on Monday.
okay. Public Works from 226.
In attendance were Brandon Evans from GLCAP, Erica Roop, Jessica Sousa, myself, Rob Meyerholtz, and the mayor. Brandon Evans from GLCAP presented funding options for our drainage project on Sycamore, none too favorable for us. One was the Water Pollution Control Fund, which is a forgivable loan, but Mr. Evans felt the project was too small. Have a standalone project to qualify for this. The other one he had was the Ohio Water Development Authority. That's a loan that does need to be paid back. It would also require engineering, which would increase the pricing dramatically. He also talked OPWC. Of course, we're already on the hook to receive OPWC for road projects. And I think it was the opinion of the committee that that project has a more of immediate concern. We will continue to discuss that. Brandon did bring up that the GLCAP does offer a GIS program, which we've been talking about in this committee and in council. He's providing a quote for that. I did get an email from him this morning and that he'd have that for us. Basically, we would have to provide all the locations and then GLCAP would map the whole system where we needed it to. He had one other thing, but I'll get to that in a minute. I did notice a smell of gas at the corner of Silver and Oak Street. I called Suburban and they know that there's a leak there and that they are checking it regularly. It's not enough to warrant any concern. And he seemed to indicate that they were planning on fixing it at some point. We also discussed potholes. I know Harold's been out sick, so Taylor Street by the Silver Street Alley, Silver Street, the house at 13310 Silver Street, out south of mine, near the railroad tracks on Walnut and Washington Street. You say something?
The one on Taylor Street, that one by the railroad track.
Okay, great. We also discussed the paving of the parking lot behind the library the grant project. Quote from Kleinfelder. Jessica submitted that to all of us. I have that was expected to be by February 27th, but Jessica has sent that on. And then we're also asking for a request, quote from Toledo Edison for installation of new streetlights at Poplar, Orange, and Beach Street, Main Street in front of Crescent Chemical, and also inquire about lighting options on the east side of Sand Ridge Road.
On Beach Street.
We're on Beach Street.
I'm the only thing on Beach Street.
It would be basically in the alley, in between the roads, because it's such a dark spot between all those roads.
So halfway back from,
Yes, in the middle of the intersection, basically middle of the road.
We discussed the process of getting quotes from contractors. And also wondering about the sewer from Main Street and Mill Street, if you don't have that. That's Main Street and Mill Street.
Where Shirley's is at.
Always place,
Catch basin.
the catch basin.
oh, I don't have a quote on that.
Okay.
I have one for the one down at the other church that needs to be fixed on every dollar. Haven't fixed that one yet, but I will.
Okay. We also assigned point peoples to grants in the Public Works Committee. Brightening, Ohio would be me, CDBG would be Jessica, OPWC would be Harold, Stephanie, and Rick. I know Harold and Stephanie weren't there. We just nominated you anyways. TAP grant would be Erica, ODOT's the mayor, and the parking lot behind Dollar General, USDA, is Jessica. Is that right?
I think it's hard.
Behind the library.
Behind the library. The guy was thinking the sidewalk to Dollar General.
I was already point on it, so.
That's right. That's right. Okay. I'll fix that. Nature Works fencing, would it be beneficial to include a fence where there is not a fence to contain the basketball and pickleball courts? Stephanie has a quote on this. I don't know if I forwarded it to the committee or not.
I saw it. Holy
That's all.
moly.
Yeah.
In the grant.
So we will continue to discuss this. Stephanie has some information, gave me some information on the SIB loan. And I guess my question is why that we would have to wait until we were awarded OPWC to apply for SIB?
Because if we are using that as our match, it follow along with the OPWC. If we don't get OPWC and you still want to do the project, then the whole scope of it or the
Would be
whole
a
amount
separate.
would be different. So
And then we are.
that could affect what you're setting aside each year for the payments.
I will forward the application to the rest of the committee if I haven't already done that. And it's kind of in depth. So who we get to help us do that, whether it's Bob or whether it's Christie.
You referring to the SIB portion of it?
Yeah. Stephanie said she has the one part of it.
When I did talk to Bob, just FYI, when I talked to Bob about the grant and stuff, he said that he would be happy to come to any or all of our public works meetings. He was disappointed he missed the last one.
Okay.
And I said, Craig's the new chair, and he said he likes to invite me. I said, okay, I'll let him know.
Great, we can invite him to the next. GLCAP does offer a financial review. I have a white sheet on this. I will forward to the administrative process committee because we'd like to put just to overlook that. Also, the remaining amounts from capital outlay in regards to the pickleball courts, given the fence quote. I think we know how that's going to go. We'd like that to go to administrative process, and also to administrative process is discuss the road budget and potential road projects for 2025.
Anything else for public works?
I have something.
Okay.
Do we have a contract with the solar people, with them using our roads? If there's something, is all their equipment's gonna go down
Sure.
Taylor
They,
Street?
they're not having as much, traffic as what they originally thought. They worked out a plan with the county and the township. I don't believe they're gonna come too far inside. I think they're coming down Weston Road. I think how they're doing it, because their product is currently being stored on 25 at the storage units just south of 281.
Okay,
So I'm not saying they won't, but they've been in contact with Portage Township Weston Township, and Milton Township. And they've mapped out roads to eliminate them coming through the village the whole time.
Okay.
So, not saying they won't.
I mean, it'd be beneficial
there is
just
no-
to have it just in case.
Yeah, there is no official contract for us, not that I'm aware of. There
Especially
is one on the township.
put that bridge in.
Yes. Yes. Anything else for Public Works? Okay. Upcoming meetings. Park and Rec, 3-5 at 6 p.m. They're changing that meeting because they were supposed to have one at 3:12.
We are still having the one at 3:12,
You doing both of them then, or just the one?
both.
Okay.
Is the 312 one 6 or 6:30?
6.
Okay.
You
I,
can use this building, correct?
I am available on Wednesday at 6 to be here to take notes.
Okay. And then cemetery, 3-6 at 6 p.m. Administrative process, 3-10 at 6 p.m. Community development and public affairs, 3-18 at 6 p.m.
Do you want to change the time,
This
right?
is now time to do it.
Yeah,
Did we
5:30 would work better.
5:30?
Oh, that's fine. I don't
5:30?
mind.
Okay.
We're at 5:30.
That was Ashley's old time and I loved it. But we had a.
5 o'clock.
Because Jeremy couldn't make it.
Okay.
5:30, remind me.
Okay.
Sports Initiative Board Association, 319 at 5:30. Safety, 324 at 6 p.m. at the fire station, and the Public Works here at 325 at 6 p.m. Now, with the Sports Initiative Board, is that going to be here at the library? Because I remember there was confusion. Okay,
As long as it is open here, it will be.
okay. Well, I'm going to bring up something because that was brought up to me. Okay, this is at the council hall. At the point where they become an official board, officially, we're going to need council's approval to have them utilize our building. If not, they have to find someplace else because we don't allow outside agencies to utilize our building for contract.
Was the business council held here?
I don't know. That's not what I'm told. Business council currently.
I thought the last, I don't know, I saw cars here the night when
And I'm
I,
not opposed to it, but it's up
I don't
to
know.
council. Okay, it's up to council to,
now I will bring up, because we're gonna talk about this much more in depth with Paul at the admin meeting. But as long as they have that fund, they are still a village entity.
I would think so.
Just to be clear, until that fund is spent and that resolution is passed, they are still.
I would think so.
But they have been talked to about the transition. They know they're in the transition phase, and it has been advised that they try to do as much as they can on their own, find meeting places and things like that.
I mean, imagine,
Policy is that they can't meet here. I mean, we have a building.
I'm not saying it is or isn't, but currently we don't let outside people use ours after
I
hours.
guess my thing is that we have a building and if it's not empty, it would seem we would want people to utilize it.
I'm not saying that, but that's also we have liaisons and committee members that are on council that occupy the building when people are here. I'm not saying you can or can't.
Right, when they don't have a liaison and they're no longer a village entity.
That'd be the only thing unless you're going to volunteer to come up and do it. I don't want to, but I'm not saying it can or cannot happen. We just have to have a point
Right.
Is there a
person.
reason why they can't
And-
use the library?
And they do know they won't have codes. When that resolution is passed, they'll no longer have door codes. They already know that. We will be talking like some sort of, I don't know what it will be called, a terms and conditions, but it's like all the things we've talked about verbally. That's why we have Paul. One of the many reasons we have Paul coming is talk about what to put in writing, how to do it.
I'm sure when the weather breaks, you might want to do it at the concession stand just because it's there, you know what I'm saying? Kill two birds, one stone. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we'll have to address it when it comes.
Again, is there a reason why they don't use the
They
library?
have used the library.
They have,
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, I'd like to keep that in use,
that's,
quite honestly. It's speaking as a taxpayer because we pay for that too.
Yeah.
And it is open most of the time.
would bring it back to the administrative process. Okay. We have new business. We have the thing here is, I got this. 2020. This is going to be a emergency ordinance 2025-6 is Ohio Basic Code 2025 edition. And this is the ordinance approving, adopting and enacting American Legal Publishing Ohio Basic Code 2025 edition as the code of the ordinances for the municipality of Weston, Ohio, and declaring it an emergency. Any discussions on this? If not, we just need a motion to suspend rules.
So moved.
We need a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Mr. Warner,
Yes.
Ms. Rupp,
Yes.
Mr. Meyerholt,
Yes.
Ms. Suser.
Yeah.
Well, you're just suspending the rule. You're not voting.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute, I need to look at it. Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Ms. Klukowski.
Yes.
Okay, now we need to see if we can pass ordinance 2025-6.
I think Jessica has questions.
That's it. I believe this is almost like an annual thing.
Yep.
It's an annual renewal.
And I don't, like I said, I don't understand why it's always an emergency.
I don't
It seems to be
either,
always an
yeah.
emergency because we have so much going on in the first 2 months of the year. And this is
I guess if you don't pass it, you don't have code to follow
Sure.
in the current, like they do updates. So in
and
that
that's per the,
document, it tells you all their updates that they did.
does that also correspond with that Ohio Barber Village Code thing? That's in
Our village code.
not ours, but isn't there a the basic code?
Yeah.
I think it's something Barber, isn't it? By Attorney General Barber.
That's what this
This was
is.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have ours
Mhm.
that is also done through the American Legal Publishing, but it's done separately. So every time we update that, it has its own ordinance to accept the supplement.
Okay, we just need a motion to approve 2025-6. And this is the ordinance approving and adopting and enacting American Legal Publishing Ohio Basic Code 2025 edition as the code of the ordinances of the municipality of the Weston, Ohio, and declaring it an emergency.
So moved.
We have a first,
Second.
we have a second. Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Ms. Rupp? Mr. Meyerholt?
Yes.
Ms. Suser? Ms. Patel? Ms. Klukowski?
Yes.
All right, moving on, like the Jeffersons. Okay, this is another one is resolution 2025-5. It's the electricity aggregate agreement. This is also an emergency. This is 2025-5 is a resolution directing the village mayor to enter into agreements with an electricity supplier through Aspen Energy Corporation to supply the village of Weston electricity aggregation program. This is a motion for suspending the rules.
So moved.
We have a first,
Okay.
we have a second. Mr. Warner,
Yes.
Ms. Rupp, Mr. Meyerholt,
Yes.
Ms. Suser,
Yes.
Mrs. Patel,
Yes.
Ms. Kukowski.
Yes.
Now we need a motion to approve resolution 2025-5, which
That I have a question.
stop.
Is it a higher rate than what we're at now?
I don't,
It will be. Did
Everybody's-
everybody read the email I sent out? Okay.
Questions, even though I read it.
everybody's potentially getting raised, and you have the option we're just allowing them to be the aggregate for us. Every resident has the option to opt in or opt out.
Yeah, what's our aggregate now?
6 kilowatt.
So it's going up by 0.03.
Yeah.
No,
0.3.
0.3.
Yeah, so it's 0.6. It's going up to
0.9.
0.9.
A little over.
So a third of the way.
Yeah, and by June, it's gonna be up to 0.11 or 12. So it's still better than what it's gonna be.
And this locks us in for how long?
Isn't there
It depends on the,
options?
but he's recommending a year in case it does drop. That's why this last one, we were in for a year because we thought that the rate would drop, and obviously it didn't.
It went up.
We should have gone into a longer term, but, yeah.
This resolution, though, this is not the lock-in, this is to.
No,
No,
this will, once the rate is, because right now it's 9. So we're gonna wait a few weeks and allow it to do its thing and hopefully drop a little more. And this is allowing Rick to sign that if it goes lower than that 0.9.
Okay.
could,
I'm hoping that doesn't go to spam.
Me too. I'm just.
So,
Rick misses it.
get quotes from other places too?
That is what this is. It's getting
Oh.
the most favorable.
Okay.
research.
Yeah, okay.
It was.
Media.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like when they sent me the number, I was like, whoa, that like, we're not gonna want to do this. This is too high. And then they explained how it'll be up even higher by the time by the time the one we have expires, which is in May.
But that's my question. We can get out of that one.
That one is good till May. The one we're in now expires in May.
But you're saying that he could lock it in tomorrow if it dropped low enough.
For when May
May and after.
expires, yep. Yeah, so right now, so when I looked on that Ohio Choice website, the apples to apples, it's like 0.7 or 8 right now, and they're like, they said, for us though, because our contract is until May, we'd have to look for May rates and not today rates because we're in a contract, so because that's why I was like, well, the rates are lower right now. Why can't we? But we can't.
So if he locks, let's say he locks something in, it's not just for the village, it's for the residents too.
It's the whole, yeah, it's the whole. So when that happens, there'll be a whole process. A letter card goes out to all the residents, and
From
if they
Diane.
don't do anything with it, they stay in that rate. If they don't want to be part of that, they have to do that and do the shopping on their own, so.
Is he gonna go talk to us again?
If we need him to, but
I would zoom him in.
yeah, he wasn't able to come tonight. A lot of the rate increase, he said, has to do with all these data centers going in and using or consuming all the electricity.
And
So
that's where like you just said, we should have went with a longer contract. And I know what he's saying, like, maybe it will drop. I don't know that I have a lot of faith that it's going to drop in a year.
I don't think.
yeah,
nothing
it'll
ever
just keep
drops.
going up.
No, it dropped for the contract that we're currently under.
At the Water Quality Council meeting, the committee meeting for TMACOG, they talked about data centers in Ohio and how they're like increasing exponentially in the entire state. And Northwest Ohio, specifically Wood County, was on their radar for seeing an increase in data centers. So I agree with Jess. We might want to look at longer, because if the reason for this increase is data centers, we're going to have a lot more pop up. There's not a lot going around for regulation wise. They're analyzing a lot of data on how to regulate the data centers better and how to do best practice.
I would encourage people to opt in.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been broadcast for the last month that Edison is lobbying the PUCO right now for a 10% increase.
Yeah. What I would do with passing this ordinance that gives him the authorization to just sign that contract is to say nothing higher than
9.
whatever rate. Yeah, 9, because that's kind of what it's at right now.
I don't know. if
That just lets him-
Lower than 9 though at all, were they? And
No,
I think the 36 month was 9.5.
yeah, so we could say nothing higher than that, or, something, and if.
And right now, this is only an agreement for 1 year though, right?
Currently, but
Currently.
We have
specified.
options for.
Yeah,
They gave 3 options.
in the email, it was in the email.
Yeah, but-
This is just allowing you to sign the contract.
Yeah,
So your ultimate, council's giving you the decision to pick the term. Obviously, when it comes in, it'll be sent to everybody
Yeah.
and you can give
well, I'm gonna,
feedback, yeah.
I would have no problem representing that and locking it, and doing this portion of it. But I definitely have to bring into council This brings me to talk, but this gets me to talk. I'll bring it to council and see where we're at on the term.
Yeah.
This does not need that can do besides the authorization and negotiation or agreement, so. Is that all the discussion? And then we have a rule for resolution 2025-5.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Warner,
Yes.
Ms. Rupp,
Yes.
Mr. Meyerholtz, Ms. Susser,
Yes.
Mrs. Patel, Ms.
Yes.
Kukowski.
Yes.
All right, that one is done. Okay. Approval of expenditures. Everybody had a chance to look at the bills. If we did, we just need a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to pay and second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We already talked about the WSIB portion. Unless anybody has anything else to add to that. Okay, miscellaneous business. We got, Otsego Service Day that was added to it.
Okay, just real short. I see we have a cemetery meeting this week and a Parks and Recs. I've put in a request for 15 to 20 students. My feedback was, where will students be dropped off? Will there be multiple locations for them to be dropped off at? And will we provide direction for students and chaperones? Might want to think about that during your committee meetings, because I'll have to report back to Ashley pretty much as soon as I can.
You have a hard deadline on that?
I already met the deadline of last Friday for requesting the students, putting in a so-so job that they're gonna have or some ideas of what we can have them do. But it's the first year for this, so they're feeling it out also. You know, they're 9 to 11th graders. They can't exactly just, most of them don't drive. They're gonna have to get a ride. They need chaperones. The parents aren't just gonna send them, you know, hooligan. So we need to have a little direction. And are we gonna be participating in leading them?
You say we as council as,
Or people in the committees that you know what I mean? Mind you, this is during the day. A lot of us have our own jobs.
Mhm.
So that's just something to think about. You can email me or get with me otherwise.
Put those on the agendas of all those appropriate parks and recs and then the cemetery to have them.
Yep, I reached out to Robin Kaiser. She's gonna talk to Jody. Just to kind of keep it going.
So I should know something possibly by Thursday.
Can I ask if the schools are responsible for the transportation, or are they asking us to be?
No, the school is.
School's responsible.
Okay.
They'll be busing in.
I think they're trying to get parental chaperones
They are. There was an email sent out.
and things of that nature. Like I said, it's the first year for them trying to do this, so if we can give them a little, us a little, you know?
Okay. Is that it?
Yep, thank you.
And then we had another miscellaneous agenda item was the liaison, right? Is that what it was, Rob?
Yeah, discussion on leave.
Discussion on the liaison thing, referring to committees, liaison to committees.
The thing that I am proposing is that we no longer have the liaison to committee and allow the actual committees to present themselves to council. Myself, I would like to hear directly from the committees, have them participate in council proceedings from that standpoint. That would be mainly for cemetery board and parks and rec board. It's, to me, they become involved with us a little bit more than just the individual. And when it was assigned before, it's my understanding through Stephanie that it is not in the council rules and it is not an ordinance or a resolution, that it was something that Jeremy had instituted at that point in time as the mayor.
I know in the past, I was on both committees and I asked Paul if we needed to be there and he told me no.
Right. I believe the board is a full board that, this is just my opinion, that the liaison can be abolished. I know you had mentioned that on your WSIB that they still would like to have the liaison, and I'm not totally disagreeing with that because they are
In transition.
transition there. Cemetery board, at the end of the day, they make their own decision. They have their own budget. I would not be opposed of doing that as long as they have a representative to come, because at the end of the day, still they have to report, and any expenditures they have to report to us for us to approve anyways. And as far as that was Park and Rec too,
How was it previously done before liaison?
it was not at that.
Or just came,
The board came in. Now,
or made
I'm
their,
asking, what was that procedure? Did the member of the board come in? Did a random person from the board?
didn't have to be a chair. It could be anybody that they send as a representative, but they would also send a request through Stephanie if they had something that was specific. Am I correct?
I don't know. I kind of like the liaison that's going to kind of give an update as to what goes on in the committee if there's no actionable item.
Yeah, it makes it
I was
move.
gonna say, did they
Feel
come
like-
in to report or did they just come in when they needed something?
No, they would come in to report.
I just,
Number one, we're paying currently through the cemetery board. We do have a clerk that we are paying. Now, whether they choose to use that clerk for that purpose, that's up to them.
and we do have
I don't-
a sexton too. I mean, he's also on the payroll too, the sexton.
Yes,
So
yes. To me, I want to see the boards come to us and interact with us.
I know that, 2 Parks and Rec boards higher. So Michelle and Mike and Angie Coleman, if they had something that they wanted to request specifically, or they had an ask, they often came to council and did it. But if they did not have that, it was the council person that read the report.
I
And
think,
I think that
I'm not saying it's not going to work. I think what was brought on, we have a couple people that are new on Parks and Rec, and with Christine, right? Christine having surgery, and she couldn't make it, but they said that they wanted to do something, then they wanted to make a schedule a meeting, and then you couldn't make it at that particular meeting or whatever. And I told them, you guys still can meet without us. You just can't make a decision on how you guys want to do anything until you bring it back to us. Okay. And they were okay with that. I'm not opposed with the liaison. This is your guys' decision as far as it is mine. But nothing can be spent unless we have a report. If these committees want to report to us, it's up to them. I mean, am I right?
The major benefit of the liaison wasn't to request money, though. It was to have an immediate response from a council member on any questions that the committee has.
But we're not
That immediate response, not
sure
waiting.
to what it's going to be.
It was not waiting for a council meeting, extending the time that they
kind
had
of
to
give,
wait.
it was
2
giving
weeks.
guidance a lot of times.
It was immediate response. And
I know that
it was a lot that the previous boards and councils that I've spoken to and people that were on them before talked about was they felt like council wasn't there for them. They felt like council didn't have answers for them. They couldn't reach out. They were very disconnected. The liaison bridged that gap.
And I agree with you on that, but that would also give them ownership to bring it to council as well. That would get their.
Yeah, go back.
It's a two-way street.
Right.
It can go either way. We can look at it differently.
I also heard that being in front of full council in open session was very intimidating. Having
I'm not saying it would not be,
contact
but
is a lot more better for them.
I think
I feel like a lot of, say you're the perfect example, poor Jessica over there trying to work as the point of contact for the, for the last grant. Then we're gonna put her and stick her into a liaison point and give her another responsibility when we have grown adults that know when they have a problem can bring it right here. I think it's nice for them to come in here and us hear it from their mouth, not another can in the middle.
Like playing telephone.
The,
I don't know if it's necessarily like that though, because it's an immediate response. They don't have to wait.
Is it a immediate?
Yeah, what's
I
the
don't
immediate
know what-
response? You can't respond.
Type of
without
questions
counsel.
that were like, what's the procedure for this? How do we go about getting this? Like, it was basically just any kind of question they would have for council as a whole. If the council liaison could answer it in any form, they did. That's how it was for me as WSIB liaison last year. They had so many questions for me. And
I
was
think that's a fair point, but that was an organization that was trying to go on their own.
Yeah, I think
A little more
that is
That's a unique
different.
That's just my opinion.
situation.
So
I mean, you
I
could
can
still
understand the
have,
cemetery board because, I mean, these people have to be on board. I think the current Park and Rec board was on board with, for the last meeting, was on board to have, and you guys have a representative here.
Two-thirds of us are here now. I mean, we plan to both be here every council
And
meeting.
I'm not saying that, but, they're willing to put the time in, and I honestly, I would think that it would be okay to give them the opportunity to do it themselves. We have nothing to lose on this. And it just gives them a little more ownership of it.
They are a board that is supposed to operate independently to begin with.
Absolutely.
I mean, my feeling is like cemetery. I don't think I've never seen anyone from the cemetery.
They've always had a representative.
Yeah,
Because
So-
back in the time, there used to be 2 or 3 on,
yeah,
Not
and
just
then it
one
was just
liaison.
one.
same thing with the Park and Rec. We used to have 2 or 3 people. Hey, you can make, I'll go,
Yeah.
But now it's like, you know what? You're the liaison, you're the liaison, you're the
These and
liaison.
I were
And it's,
cemetery.
I agree with Jessica when it come down to it, man. She spent a lot of time doing this. I've been spent, I got a lot of time now. Joke. But these, you guys basically, as far as council, go to 2 council meetings and 2 committee meetings. That's 4, I don't want to.
Basically once a week.
That you guys are responsible for. And if that one person happens to be the liaison, that's 5. And I'm not saying, if you guys want to tackle on, that's fine, but some people don't want to tackle it all. And I'm not,
I like I don't feel comfortable making the decision myself without hearing from, and I know 2/3 of the Parks and Rec board is here, and I was at Weston Sports Initiative, so I know their feeling on it. We haven't even brought it up to cemetery yet. I would like to know what their thoughts and feelings are on it.
okay,
Well, ask them.
let's bring it to the cemetery and we'll bring it back to that council meeting as
I think I would want a cemetery board member here to discuss it because that gives us as council a way to kind of initialize with them. Because just for you to go ask them, I know what the answer is going to be.
Well,
Mhm.
I
they
mean,
don't want to come another day.
They don't want to spend a meeting, but at the same time, they were sworn in, they took an oath, they did all of that, and they're a board. The board has a lot of responsibility.
let's
And
do
they're a
this.
paid board.
Let's
Ask them and figure.
They're not.
There.
Well, I'm saying
They're
have them
paid
come to
board.
council.
Yep.
And-
Jody.
Yeah.
let's take it back to
There too,
the Parks and Rec
Making like
and the cemetery.
a board meeting.
A volunteer board.
one type of league.
Let's take it back to the Parks and Rec and the cemetery individual committees, along with the liaison at this point. Let's get a written declaration of what they might be responsible for and bring it back. If they say, no, we're not out. I mean, we like the way you do it, then I'm okay with that. But if the board is wanting to represent themselves, I mean, there's going to have to be criteria. They're going to have to give us the minutes like we currently already do, topics of conversation, so we are well informed and go from there. Just like that, take it back to the appropriate board and then we'll bring it back to the next meeting on old business and we'll make a decision then. We good? Okay, miscellaneous business. We have another appointment for the Parks and Rec. And this would be Mr. Howard Lashway.
Not until she is gone.
Well, I can't guarantee that until we take back to,
You're not swearing me in.
Okay.
She's gone.
okay. Fair enough. Then we're gonna go to citizens and visitors. We'll start with you. Red.
I got no allowed to sit there.
All right.
Oh, actually, I probably missed it. But you guys talk about that Okay, so that's probably not time to bring it up.
I have a
Go ahead.
miscellaneous. Speaking of that.
We submitted for the grant, but we haven't talked.
Not the parklet. The parklet was not submitted as part of the grant, though.
So does anybody have intentions on taking parking spaces from out front of my business?
No.
Currently.
Okay,
I think we,
I never want to see that happen.
I think we
Already
changed
have
our-
parking issues. So that's
Well,
like,
that's why we wanted to go for a parking lot.
yeah, I'm in a parking lot like wherever, I mean, but I don't know where you would have one over here. I just don't want these parking spaces to go anywhere.
I think
right now, it's still in discussion to figure out what's going on. I don't think it's nothing official
Yeah,
yet.
that's my only stance on it, because
we-
somebody brought that up to me and I instantly freaked out because that would gut me.
We already know there's not enough parking
I
downtown.
mean, the only request that you had was get the tree down and put the tree down.
Yep.
Yes, Jessica.
Speaking of that though, I do have miscellaneous business because it might address some of this other stuff.
Okay.
Thank you for that feedback. And thank you for any businesses that have given feedback with the questionnaires, the letters, just speaking to us individually. But I have heard a lot of people raise concerns, have confusion, have lots of questions. And as far as our grant writer and all the processes, we have other grants that we're going for. One of the things that they did suggest is having community meetings. And I would, even though that grant has already been submitted, I would like to suggest doing a community meeting to just clear up questions about the project. We did have an idea for parklets in front of the two restaurants but both restaurant owners are not in favor, so of course we wouldn't do it. No fear. We're not gonna do something you don't wanna do. But I explained it, we were given a whole bunch of grants. We got a grant writer because we want to help the community and help those who help the community. You are very supportive of the community, so is Porky's. We picked out the ones that were non-match. We were given a date and we were asked to come up with ideas. So we voted on what grants went to what committees and we all came up with ideas, but we're not you on the front line. So our ideas might not. You might be like, why? Right? So we want your feedback. So I would like to suggest a community meeting for community feedback, but also to clear up confusion and questions on what we have in our minds for downtown and other areas of the village.
Are you referring to like a community meeting for anything we have a
Grant for, or?
a grant or a vision for?
Mhm.
Okay.
I want to piggyback off of that. A lot of people don't know who Rick is.
Oh, look at the website.
I mean,
I don't know that that's true at all.
but like sometimes they're like, who is that? And I was like, he's on the fire department. He's been on council for years. But like maybe
If they're not.
piggyback off of a meeting like that so he can get to know
Shake
people.
the hands. More than gladly to do that.
I was gonna say, Ed, to also piggyback, I might have talked to both of you. I think in general, we need some kind of like a more formal grant process. Especially with this one. This last one was a big grant and there's some learning experiences from it. And I want to make sure we don't, fall into issues again. So just in general, and one of the big items in big grants like that is, a community feedback. So
With
I do
that,
want to say I did have two different council members did come over and did talk to me.
we were really
We're
trying to
informed.
reach out.
So,
Yeah.
I have been out a lot lately, but I was informed by two different people. So you guys did do a good job at that.
Thank you. We did. I will also just say, that, we've already said the grant got submitted, but that particular grant was very large. On this one, we know that it's a very competitive. We're not likely to get this grant, but we went ahead with submitting it because the USDA is very good at giving feedback. So we're doing it to build relationships with the USDA so that we can have better advantage in the future with their grants and then get their feedback. So if you didn't like the parking lot idea or after you hear more about it, don't like it, we do have an opportunity to change that next year. at the
And this was,
revolving loan.
this particular
Or
grant was a
revolving grant.
time deadline, but it's a continuous grant. We can apply for it again next
Yeah.
year. And we can take their feedback and rework all our stuff to make it more appealing for both and all involved, so. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Let's collaborate that community vision thing. Preferably after cold season. Okay. Back to the guest. Howard, do you have anything?
No, I just wonder, just got one question for you. Why is it when the council meeting starts, there has to be somebody on their phone constantly texting or poking around? I think the phone should be shut off when they come in here and nothing else done with them.
Agreed. Unless they're looking for something that happens to be in relative.
Well, I don't think it is.
Okay.
$5,000 a pop for the,
Like we used to have at the fire station, a cuff jar. It could be a phone jar.
I'm not talking about the fire department.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that if this is the common courtesy, when you're here, you pay attention. I agree.
Looks a little ridiculous, really.
Mr. Lely?
Nothing, sir. Thank you, though.
Doug? Mr. Dallas?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on their last meeting with the Dora situation. What did we find out, or what do we know about that?
I believe that's still being talked about. I don't think it's been totally officially shot down or anything. It's just,
That'll be hugely beneficial for everybody.
it's still in the works.
Okay, for Parks and Rec, it might hold a little bit of value in the future projects.
I think with something like that, as far as events, because I know that was conversation of and I'm just going to use, we had the
Fall Fest.
farmer's market up here at one time. That would be something we would have to take to our legal or PEP and find out what's requirements for that. So, I mean, there's still more discussion to be had.
Council hasn't even approved it to be researched, essentially.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's in the committee.
Okay,
Still in process.
thank you.
Yep. Josh is gone.
Is Ron going?
No,
Oh, he's still there. He muted himself.
Ron, it's Ken.
Hey, Ron.
I'm the other.
Done.
I'll listen. I'm the
Ron, Ken's got a question for you.
No, it's not a question, it's a clarification on a statement I made. You're correct, the county will not combine the lots. But what needs to happen is on the deeds, you need to have both lots described together and with a statement that they cannot be sold separate is the way it would be combined in our eyes.
Okay, thank you.
Not-
Because
Yeah.
my property actually on the 1 acre has 8 lots, and I attempted to combine them, and they told me that was unavailable.
Right, the only way, you're still gonna always get your tax bills, I believe, but it's more from a sales point and a land use point that you're looking at it, that so we don't allow someone to build on one part and then they sell another part when we intended, no, it's only gonna be one piece. And so we want it, there'll be a caveat on your deed that you would put in there and that they cannot be sold separate.
Didn't we do that on that house over off of Union,
Yes,
which was not a house, it was a barn?
yes.
That was 2 lots that was owned, but not, they were small enough to where they weren't buildable.
Right.
So they combined them.
Buildable, but it still ends up being.
Sure. And that's also one of those caveats where they
I
have.
think it helps in going through the titling of everything.
I have 3 parcels I pay $5.25 on, which drives me insane. But I send a separate check just to make that point.
You can always take it in pennies. Make a more valid point. Okay, is that it?
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody okay? We need a motion. We need a motion to adjourn. Everybody got a motion to adjourn?
Motion, we
Got a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll do it again.
That we were
I
gonna.
got the opening done, but the closing kind of, I see